Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Luckenen certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.
It's World Sidecarcross time again, folks, and we're at the KIVIOLI Motor Festival for round 7. The top teams have found a new training program designed to sharpen reflexes, racecraft, and passenger fitness. Did it help the racing? Did they all have fun? Well, what do you think?
With GP number 7 in KIVIOLI, Estonia, World Sidecarcross Championship had reached its mid-season. This was the final year on this amazing track, but the quali day showed how fast it can be, and it was incredible racing done here by all the teams. On race day we saw who was the fastest off the gate and could dominate on this amazing hard, fast track. So who ended up on the podium, and were there any changes in the standings? Well, you'll have to stay with us and see it for yourself.
The season kicked off in the deep sand of Lommel. This was home ground for the reigning champions, Marvin van Luckenen and Ben van den Bogart. They did not disappoint and took overall victory. No race wins yet, but that would change. Then it was off to Spain, where Valentin Giraud took race 1 glory to the delight of his new German passenger, Andres Haller. Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis wanted that red plate, but their day would come. Round 3 in Holland, and that sealed the deal for Bax and Stupilis. Double race wins and overall victory meant the red plate was here to stay on the 82 bike, or was it? Kramelin in the Czech Republic, and the battle was really on. Double winners here last year, Van Luckenen and Van den Bogart mastered nightmare weather conditions, but they pulled off double victories. Etienne Bax had problems.
We had a slight problem with the exhaust in the second motor. We are 6 points in behind of Van Luckenen, so nothing really big problem.
Round 5 in the Ukraine was all Bax and Stupilis with double wins. Marvin and Ben lost the red plate again.
The first race we make a big rush, and yeah, we need to start from last position to 5th, but yeah, Bax win this race, so it was a lot of points for losing us. We had a crash like we never had before together, Marvin and me. Yeah, small injuries, but I think on the end of the weekend we could be happy, but it could be worse, and we are still 6 points behind the leader. So pressure is still there, and I still believe that we can fight for the title.
They made up for it with second place in race 2, but the red plate had gone. Finally, we were in Plomion in France, where local hero Valentin Giraud and Andres Haller took victory. Van Luckenen and his passenger parted company, with the young Belgian crashing out big time. It was Bax and Dierkins on the podium, with Giraud on the top step.
It's not always true, but home GP means most of the time good result for me. I find my real level. I think Andres also.
So coming here to KIVIOLI, that's that 27-point lead that Etienne Bax has on the top of the standings over Van Luckenen. Hermans, Sanders, they're all in there. Dierkins is getting quicker and quicker. Giraud did his course a power of good last weekend in France. Stuart Brown always in the reckoning. Gert van Verven has been going well too. Koiben Santemans and the Kush boys. Julian Veldman's still not riding, he's injured. Round 7 here at this wonderful KIVIOLI track. Believe it or not, we're only about 900 kilometers from Moscow. That's the Gulf of Finland you can see there with the Baltic Ocean in the background. The sandy track out there is pretty spectacular. I think it's time for a guided tour, don't you?
We are going to walk a few sections of the track again for you and try and explain and get a rider's point of view. I'm here joined by Gert van Werven, the number 14 on the TM WSP backed machine. We are here stood at the waves. Now these waves, Gert, are very important. For you as a driver, are they important at the start, in the middle or at the end of the race?
Well, in the beginning it's important for the start. If you have a good position for the waves and you can jump the waves, then you can make a gap to teams who don't jump it. So that's important. And halfway race you sometimes get a little bit tired, but you have to jump it to make sure everything goes clean and you have the rest. It's better, and in the end it can be tough also. So if you can jump it, it's perfect and it will give you an ideal position.
So as Gert says there, here, first few laps of this race, or the race, you will have to make sure that you jump these to gain an advantage. We will now move on to the next part of the circuit for you. So we have moved on to this next part of the circuit. We're about halfway round. The surface is nothing like we ride in most of the Grand Prix. It's like a shale, almost like a kitty litter. It does dig up, it does become rough, so it can get quite technical, just the surface. Behind us you can see this big tabletop. Gert, this tabletop, you have to attack it. Is it easy to attack or is it difficult?
In the beginning it was a little bit difficult. You don't know how much gas you have to give. Do I hit it in third gear, fourth gear, whatever. It's all about feeling, and if the feeling is okay, then it's not a difficult jump. And if you clear it, it's a very nice feeling. You see only blue sky when you come, and if you then land it, it's awesome. And in the race, it's really close range. If you know the guys in front of you and he jumps it and you jump it too, you can almost touch each other. It's awesome.
I have seen many good photographs and many good races from here. We will now move on to the next part of the track. So we've moved on to the next part of the track. We've just done the tabletop into a hairpin right-hander, and then you have this pair of doubles. Now the first one is very technical. You have to get the first one right before you attack this second one. Now, attacking the first one is good. You've got to make sure you clear this to give you a good exit up onto the next part of the circuit. Line choice is difficult?
For me, normally I take the inside corner there and then hit full throttle, gear up and try to jump it nice clearly, and then take this jump into the middle and then land it on the inside, so I'm on the inside of the corner, and then it's easy also for the passenger. He can go in the air, go and sit with me, jump it clearly, take on the corner and hit it.
And carry on for the rest of the track. So, thank you for joining us on the track walk here.
The Baltic countries have a strong tradition in sidecar-cross. Local man Kurt Varek and his Latvian passenger Loris Dider's no exception.
I don't know, today it's no good speed, and I don't know what is wrong. Maybe this week it's too hard. It's my car is broken, Poland, and everything take much time and stress a little bit. Maybe this little bit problem. I think I am ready race.
And it was good to hear the views of the big man, Gert van Werven. He was upbeat.
Yeah, last weekend was great. I had my best result on the hardback track and it was perfect. And all weekend long, riding went well, races went well, and we had no problems, and it was a great weekend. And here, it is also one of my favorite tracks. The atmosphere is great here, the jumps are big, and it's just awesome track, and I feel good here. It's really one of the nicest tracks there is, and the people are great, the audience is great, and yeah, just awesome here. It's good to be here.
Very much in the minority left-handed sidecars, young Jake Brown from Great Britain, one of the handful, as is Father Stewart, who was flying in practice and pre-qualifying. He was optimistic.
Yeah, in the past it's always favoured the other side, I feel. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the track will come good. It'll only be a little bit smoother for our side because there's more right-hand sidecars, so we can only hope it'll benefit us.
And sure enough, when qualifying Group A got off the line, it was Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain who took a fantastic hole shot with the Kush cousins going around the outside. Kern Hermans in hot pursuit, quickly slotting in to second, with Arnie Dierkins lurking as well. Arne Dierkins had a quick look over his shoulder, but Hermans and Mousset were through and up to second in pursuit of Brown and Chamberlain as they went over this massive whoop section. These three then already away at the front and charging hard. This was going to be a hard pace for Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain to maintain in this qualifying race. This, the race for positions for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Dierkins was there in third, and on the first lap it was Hermans and Mousset sweeping through into the lead. We'd said before, if they could only keep the consistency going, just how fast are they? Well, they were certainly fast here in the Group A qualifying. Bax and Stupilis, after a fairly mediocre start, were already up to fourth past Christoph and Maxime Kush in pursuit of the three at the front, but you can see the gap for yourselves. It was a fairly formidable task for Etienne Bax to wind these guys in, but we all know Etienne Bax, he was going to try. The red plate holder was not taking any prisoners here. There were two distinct lines on this track, and the Italian Compilati there taking the outside line. It might give them the extra drive up the hill, and time again we saw the Italian take that line, but this time he almost lost out to Justin Koiben, who slipped on the inside. Bax and Stupilis swiftly moved into third place past Brown, and ahead of them Arnie Dierkins charging away up the hill, but out in front Hermans and Mousset were away with the lead, and that was how it would finish at the front anyway. There was more work for Etienne Bax to do, but he kept the pressure on. The Kush boys were down there locked in that battle with Justin Koiben. They always start well, the Kush cousins. Resplendent this weekend in their yellow riding bibs, and very distinctive, very easy to pick out. This track with its numerous massive jumps, some of them double jumps, not for the faint-hearted. You really had to keep the thing level when you took off over those big jumps. It was all in the setup of the bike. There were two distinct lines there as well. The inside line was probably the quicker of the two, as Compilati pressing in, homing in indeed, on the back of the 176 outfit. Eddie Janecke and Gordon Boter, the German pairing, the 176 crew. And there was a terrific scrap going on further down the order. The top three or four, though, still away with it, and Stuart Brown holding a solid fourth place. Compilati, the Italian, and his French passenger, Bastien Chopin, having something of a stellar season in 2019. Very consistent, always there or thereabouts. Having their own scrap now with the Kushes and making progress through the field, Compilati. The Swiss Kush boys tipped their left-handed chair, just rode over into the soft stuff, and the chair came up, the passenger was off, and that was it. So they had work to do again, playing catch-up from the back. Great action all the way down the field, and that mid-pack battle raging with Compilati doing everything he could. He was passed again by Janecke and Boter, the 176 crew, but undeterred, kept the pressure on. Having walked the track myself, I can testify to the fact that some of these jumps are absolutely fearsome. This one, for example, as you go up over that double jump, all you can see on the approach is blue sky. Fairly formidable. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain having something of a comeback now, having made their way past Arnie Dierkins and Robbie Bax. So moving up a place now, Stuart Brown. Arnie Dierkins, I've often said, starts really strongly and then fades a bit, but he has been carrying injury. We were looking there at Kern Hermans and Nicolas Mousset with a vast lead out in front, and they were just carrying that form all the way through the weekend. Bax and Stupilis by now were up to second. It was Brown and Josh Chamberlain in third, and Dierkins and Robbie Bax in fourth, and that quartet were well away with it. Not least of all these guys up the front. Hermans and Mousset the vastly experienced French passenger Nicolas Mousset, who is a great help to this young man, and it's so often the case when you have an older passenger with the wisdom of all the racing experience, all the years of Grand Prix. They can instill a little bit of calm and common sense into their impetuous young drivers, most of whom from the Low Countries have been racing for 10 years already. Checkered flag then, and that was it. Group A qualifying for Koen Hermans and Nicolas Mousset. An impressive victory indeed from Etienne Bax and Casper Stupilis, with Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain grabbing third, Dierkins and Robbie Bax fourth, and the rest of the field, you saw those battles going on further down the order. Group A qualifying done and dusted. Let's have a look at the results. The top four really impressive. Koiben then got the better of Gordiev, the 151 Estonian, who actually rode brilliantly here for sixth place.
Yeah, the race was good because we finished on the first place, but still some little things what we have to change for tomorrow, but we will work on this.
I feel good about the race. Okay, we did change some settings before the moto. That probably we need to change back because that was not better. But overall it was a good day, and it was unfortunately that we had a bad start. We had wheel spin, a lot of wheel spin, and together with Dirkis actually, we both did not came out from the start, and we were placed at 4-5, and we came back till 2, so it's okay for me for tomorrow.
Group B, and this was very much the Valentin Giraud show, who from the inside took an absolute flyer and took the whole shot, with Kurt Varrick and Loris Diders, the number 7 crew, chasing hard as well. Rodionov, the Estonian, the local man, formerly from Russia, was very much in the hunt as well. Varrick found himself in third at this point, with Rodionov putting in a really, really good display. Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas were hard on the case of Kurt Varrick, but the number 199 Estonian, formerly Russian, Rodionov, in the yellow strip was giving a really good account of himself. Van Lukener, Van den Bogart using that wide line I was talking about earlier to try and play catch-up. They'd had less than an impressive start and were having to work for a living, fighting their way through the top 10 to get in touch with the leaders, because at the front it was frantic. They were away with it. But Van Lukener faced them with taking unfamiliar lines in his efforts to catch up. But knowing the young Belgian as we do, we could be sure that he would be giving it his very best. High and wide over the double jumps, full commitment, still nursing injuries. At the front though, the number 4 of Giraud and Haller already had something like a 300-meter lead. It was unbelievable. They were 8 seconds in front, 5 minutes into the session. Behind them, all the chase was going on, with Varrick still in fourth, Rodionov ahead of him pushing hard. Davy Sanders was in the mix. And there was Davy Sanders alongside and passing the number 199, Rodionov taking off a tear-off as he went into that right-handed bend. So Sanders and Kunas at this point were up to second place, with Varrick then closing in on Rodionov and going underneath. And fair credit to Rodionov when you consider that he is not racing in Grand Prix. He has a distinct lack of 30-minute race times. His race fitness and his track fitness will be nothing like these guys who race every weekend. Van Lukener very quickly was in touch though, and on the back of these guys and pushing hard. Rodionov was the next target in his sights. How long would it be before Van Lukener was passed? Well, I think you know the answer to that. It was not long at all. Once he'd got the former Russian, lined up, he was through on that favourite inside line that he used time and time again to make up ground. Still nursing injuries from his big crash, the inside of his lips all stitched up from that crash in Plomion. Van Lukener was riding under some discomfort also with bruising. Gert van Verven, number 14, was making progress through the field as well. He was the next man to go past Rodionov. Van Verven, our track walk expert, along with Steve Randall. And at the front though, Valentin Giraud picking up where he left off in France last week with just the most fantastic performance in Plomion. And leading group qualification B here, Giraud and Haller, who have clicked, absolutely clicked together. The Frenchman and the young German, impeccable. No one else in sight. Giraud had this one in the bag. It was already looking like a Giraud and Hermans showdown going into the Grand Prix races. But Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas, the most consistent crew in the field, were there in second place. Holding second from third place, Kurt Varick and Loris Diders. On home ground here, I remind you, Kurt Varick and Van Lukener, Ben van den Bogart were then up to fourth ahead of Gert van Verven and Peter Bunk. Would Van Lukener go one better and get third from Varick? Round that wide line again he went, got the power down up the hill. Varick had to keep driving, but Van Lukener had the momentum. Slingshot passed on the inside, threw it into the left-hander at the top, and it was a done deal for him. Giraud and Haller, meanwhile, just supreme at the front. Absolutely an immaculate qualifying race for them, guaranteeing them a spot-on position on the grid tomorrow. They'd eased the pace somewhat because Sanders and Kunas were there closer than they had been before, but Van Lukener was on their case as well. Would Van Lukener get Sanders and bring it home second? But no doubting victory here. Delight for the mega power of Valentin Giraud and Andres Haller, as Van Lukener in the closing stages narrowly missed out on grabbing second place from Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas. Brilliant ride for the reigning champions, fighting their way up from a lowly start position. Rest of the field coming over. Varick, Van Verven, Rodionov acquitted himself really well. And there it is confirmed. Giraud from Sanders, narrowly from Van Lukener. Varick, Van Verven, Rodionov 6. What a star he turned out to be.
I feel good on this track already for some years now. I won most of the GP races here in KIVIOLI, so I come here with the goal to win, and today we did the perfect day in your group. Before the race, I said I must try to get the whole shot and hold that position to the finish. That's what we did. The start was very perfect. I think big gap to the first corner, and then we was just faster than the other. We make a bigger gap, and then after a half race, we controlled the race to the finish.
Congratulations and good luck.
Yes, of course, I'm happy we had a great start, third place, and could make the pass fairly easy or fast. And then just control the race, try to keep the speed up, and then it was really good. Marvin catch us in the end, but then we started pushing again and keep the gap pretty much the same.
Welcome back to KIVIOLI. There have been Sidecar Grand Prix here for over 12 years, and always a huge crowd come into the KIVIOLI Motor Festival. And up on the raised platform by the side of the press office, a perfect place for the crowd to meet the riders, get the autographs and their heroes. Chatting, everybody fairly relaxed. Van Lukener, Van den Bogart, they've got a whole load of fans here, as indeed have Kern Hermans and Nicolas Mousset. How quick were they in free practice and qualifying? Amazing.
We have first place for the behind the gate for the race, and this morning in the warm-up first place also. I think 0.4 than the second. It's not bad in the fast lap like this, and yeah, we are confident for the race. For me, the track is better than the second day. It's better than yesterday with water, and yeah, now we have full grip, so it's very nice to ride.
Another young man absolutely flying, the number 10, Arne Dierkens and Robbie Bax. A combination of youthful speed and exuberance and the wise head of a very experienced passenger.
The track is good. I thought it was more wet, but it going in the ground, the water. So the track was good, the speed was good. So I'm looking forward for the races. Yes, I hope to be in front, top 3, top 5, and then focus on good lap times and to battle with the top guys and hopefully a good result there.
Well, this is how they line up, and all 30 crews go through. At the back end of this table, you'll see the last chance. In actual fact, there was no last chance, no need for it. Everyone goes through from Group A and Group B. Alternately, they take their pick of the gate. Herman's first pick, Giro, Bax, Sanders, Dierkens. Van Lukener, not too shabby. He's got 6 go at it. Stuart Brown, very respectable again. Varick, Koiben, Van Verven completing the top 10. So that will be part of the front row. We'll get about 15 across the front row, I would have thought. Gordiev and Rodionov, the 2 local guys, riding under the Estonian colours. Very quick, surprisingly quick actually. Can they do 30 minutes plus 2 laps? Kompolati, Santemans, Eddie Janek, the German, Janek and Bota there. Normack, George Kinge, Lewis Gray, very respectable for the young British crew there, 18th. They won't be on the front row, I would have thought, any more than Jake Brown and Joe Millard will be. Heading up the back row, Adrian Petter, Engelbert. And there you see the last chance boys, except they're not automatic qualification. The usual time before the race then, 2 30-minute plus 2 lap races. Time for focus, time for concentration. All those last-minute preparations are done. If you haven't done it now, then buddy, it's too late. Where will I start on the grid? Well, the going's pretty good. Etienne Bax talked about wheel spin in qualifying. There is loose shale on the surface. Giro, he's looking for his spot. Just checking what's underneath. It's so crucial, those milliseconds after the gate drops, just getting your nose in front. Race 1, and there was a real problem for Valentin Giraud. His Mega would not fire up. Andres Haller with his hand in the air. This was real drama for the Frenchman. There'd been a problem, obviously, either with the electrics or something. It wouldn't go. It wouldn't go off the line, and he was left basically waiting to sit out the race because he couldn't take part in it. Herman's got an absolute flyer. Koen Hermans and Nicolas Mousset from the outset grabbed the lead. Bax and Stupilis in there pushing hard as well. The red plate, they got a cracking start, so they were in third. A distraught Valentin Giraud and Andres Haller after promising so much in qualifying. Fastest all weekend in every session, but the one that mattered, and the bike didn't go. Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas were lying really, really strongly as Giraud had an effort to get round, just cruising on the inside, but the bike wouldn't rev out. He was striving to keep it going to earn some points, but it was to no avail. Bax and Stupilis were on the back of Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas, who once more had gated with terrific verve and speed, and they were holding off. Bax and Stupilis for how long, I wonder? And it wasn't long before Etienne Bax was alongside and pushed his way through. Kurt Varick, Loris Dieders were chasing hard as well. No sign at this point of Marvin van Lukener, or was there? There he was, on the back of Kurt Varick. So not a particularly brilliant start again for Marvin van Lukener, so he would have to work his way past some very fast crews on this spectacularly difficult track with its multiple jumps, tabletops, and that long right-handed turn round the outside that Varick tried to his disadvantage because he lost out that time to Marvin van Lukener, who claimed the place. At the front though, Koen Hermans and Nicolas Mousset were charging well. Davy Sanders had van Lukener then on his case. In second place, it was Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis. Sanders, for how long would he be able to hold off this flying duo of Varick and Van Luckenen? The chasing crews behind, all distinguishing themselves in these tough conditions, and not as hot as it was in qualifying. In qualifying, we had ambient temperature of something like 28 degrees. Overnight thunderstorms, and you heard in one of the interviews where the track is much more rideable, and that's because the heavy rain damped down the dust, it soaked into the soil, gave a lot more grip, and the warm-up times were actually quicker than the qualifying times, because overnight the track had been graded down at the bottom where it mattered, and the riders were able to get the power down and drive. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain did not have the best of starts, but they were in a strong position and making their way through. Van Luckenen pressurising Davy Sanders and dropping Kurt Varick and Loris Dieders, the number 7 crew, away. Everyone in blue, something of a commentator's nightmare when they're all wearing the same livery, but fortunately the numbers very easy to pick out. Van Luckenen on that inside line, switched to the outside, made the move stick over the jump, and moved up one more place. Van Luckenen and Van den Bergart now in 5th. Ahead of them Sanders, ahead of them Bax, ahead of them Dierkens, and this the battle between Etienne Bax, the red plate, and Arne Dierkens. Bax trying that wide line round the bottom, and time again he tested this one out because it might come in useful a bit later in the race when that inside line tended to dig out, as it proved to be the case. Bax and young Arne Dierkens and Robbie Bax then. So the two Bax brothers, the younger one on the back. The pillion, if you like, of Arne Dierkens, but it was Bax then making the move. Dierkens fighting back on that inside line, but the red plate was away. The red plate then, now up into second place, was in pursuit of Koen Hermans, the race leader, who was actually way up the road. They were having a fantastic ride, Hermans and Mousset, and you can see the advantage right in the distance there, coming down over the jump. The red-shirted Bax and Stupilis now in second. Were they able to wind in the race leaders? Well, it would have been a mammoth task under any conditions. Davy Sanders still fighting tooth and nail with Kurt Varick. Riders still trying that lower line, which proved to be much further round, but it gave you the drive up the hill and would come in to play later. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain having something of a lonely ride, but well in the points. Compilati, the Italian, coming down then leading Gert van Verven and Peter Bunk, the number 14 crew. And the battle between these two crews was to rage pretty much all weekend. Compilati, a regular point scorer at the sharp end of the race, and has been racking up steady scores, thereby sitting in a strong place in the championship. Van Luckenen and Van den Bergart were the next to attack Dierkens and Bax, looking for that third place. The same place, the same stance and the same action, and they took the spot, leaving themselves on the inside line to move clear. Sanders and Kunas, number 9, always there or thereabouts. And those double jumps, spectacular in the air. All of these crews are very, very brave, I can tell you. Because if you get it wrong on takeoff, you're not going to put it right in the air. No such dramas, though, for the poise of Hermans and Mousset. This French passenger over the jumps with negative gravity, negative G-force. If you like, it's a momentary rest period for the passengers. When the bike goes light in midair, they could just flex their fingers for a split second, trying to eliminate any possible arm pump. Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis looking like they might well retain the red plate here after KIVIOLI. This, though, only the first of two 30-minute plus 2-lap races, sadly without the hapless Valentin Giraud and Andres Haller, who promised so much in qualifying and free practice, only to fall foul of mechanical gremlins. Race 1 in KIVIOLI, distinguishing themselves, Hermans and Mousset with a sensational win, living up to their performance all weekend. Etienne Bax chased them home ahead of Marvin van Lukenen and Ben van den Bogart, Arne Dierkens and Davy Sanders putting in another stellar performance. A tough race, a long race. Can you imagine? 30 minutes plus 2 laps over those massive jumps. Confirmation of that. Hermans, Bax, Van Lukenen, Dierkens, Sanders, Varick, Stuart Brown made 7th, a good result ahead of Kompelating and Van Verven. That battle raged all race long. Igor Rodionov 10th, what a great result for him, but no doubting the winners.
Yeah, we have the good start. We take the whole shot and we could find the good lines. So yeah, it was good to ride now. The feeling is really good. I hope we can do this the second motor again. I was thinking I have not to look at it. I was just focused to the front, and it was just a good start. And yeah, it's good to finish at the first place.
Absolute heartbreak for Valentin Giraud and Andres Haller. Despite their best efforts, the recalcitrant Mega refused to fire up.
Yeah, actually, since this morning everything goes well. Even for the first race, we go for the sitting lap. The bike was just good, and then I decided to not start the bike to go on the gate, so we pushed the bike on the gate, and yeah, at the moment I wanted to start the engine, and the engine didn't start. I tried to kick sometimes, and the engine start, but don't sound so well. So we didn't know what was the problem. I tried to drive some laps, but it was not so powerful, and sometimes the engine also stopped in some jumps. So we decided to stop the race.
What desperate disappointment. All this way. But race 2 coming up. Would Valentin Giraud's Mega perform this time? Would Hermans do the double? Would Bax take victory? Lots to think about. Race 2, round the corner. Giraud made it this time, having changed an engine. Would it work? Well, we're about to find out. An awful lot of stake as they lined up for this one. Valentin Giraud just on the inside of Koen Hermans, who took the nearest, the first choice. Row 2 got away as well. Everyone cleanly away this time. Giraud, though, did not have a good start. Arne Dierkens, the whole shot kid, did. He flew into the lead. Chased again by Brown and Josh Chamberlain. Stuart Brown could certainly get that AMS 4-stroke off the line, and he did it again. Brown and Chamberlain were in 3rd, though, very quickly. Arne Dierkens, Marvin van Lukenen, Ben van den Bogart and Davy Sanders were 3rd and 2nd, respectively. Brown very quickly relegated to 4th place. Kurt Varick was on his case, though. Sanders held his position ahead of Van Lukenen. The rest of the crews leaping over that jump. The sun had come out a bit, the water had gone. We were getting dust on this opening lap of race 2. This 30-minute race was going to be something of a race of attrition, but Arne Dierkens absolutely flying out front. There was no early sign of first race winners Hermans and Musset, but very quickly they were up into 4th and chasing. Van Lukenen was ahead of them. They very quickly dispatched Davy Sanders and Larry Kunas and set off after the reigning champions. Hermans and Musset now in 3rd. Arne Dierkens establishing a healthy lead. And the crews fighting their way. Santemans went through, Kompelati went through. The times were very, very similar on these crews. Not much between them. Brown and Chamberlain round that outside line from a very lowly start. Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis were having to use that line time and time again in their efforts to play catch-up. They were very quickly past Santemans and Beletskas and then off in pursuit of Brown. The pink-shirted, red-plated 82 Bax and Stupilis not renowned for fast starting, and they certainly were not renowned for fast starting in this race too here in KIVIOLI, giving the youngster Dierkins and his passenger Robbie Bax all the opportunity at the front. Davy Sanders, Varick, Gert van Verven, Linus Stern, all the blue shirts charging through in the, not the lower places, but the mid-pack order ahead of Brown and Josh Chamberlain. At the front, Dierkins was now coming under pressure from two outfits. Koen Hermans and Marvin van Lukener were very much with him, and this was van Lukener's favourite place on the inside of this next left-hander. Would he be able to drive up the inside of Koen Hermans? Hermans by now, though, up into second place and in pursuit of Arne Dierkins. At this stage in the race, it only looked like a matter of time. Such had been the invincibility, if that's a word I can use, of Koen Hermans all weekend. Fastest in his qualifying group, winner of race one. So easy he made that look as he slipped through on the inside to take the lead under Arne Dierkins. And I have said on a number of occasions, if only the number 2 crew could keep going every single race, and between crashing and mechanical problems, they've lost a great deal of points, but for that, they would be sitting at the top, dare I say, of the standings as we came here to KIVIOLI. But these two rides were to do their standings the power of good and move them within touching distance of Van Lukener, as Etienne Bax and Casper Stupelis ran wide into the deep stuff there, allowing Kurt Varick almost to fight back and reclaim that place. Bax moving through the order though. Dierkins fighting off the unwanted attentions of Marvin van Lukener, taking that wide line. Now you were to see would it pay off, and indeed it did. He got the drive up the inside, slotted into the left-hander in front, and round he went. Van Lukener carrying those facial injuries. Varick and Dieders out with a mechanical problem, so it was not to be their day. But on the final lap, Hermans and Mousset on target for a double here, and a significant enhancement in their standings in the overall, because they came in ahead of Marvin van Lukener and Ben van den Bergart, who would have known the significance of that result. Bax and Stupelis were unable to improve on their position. The checkered flag it was for Hermans and Mousset, and a convincing victory. Something like 9 seconds the advantage at the flag. Bax and Stupelis brought it home. They were to retain the red plate because they were to have still a decent lead in the standings. Overall winners here, double victory and 50 points for Hermans and Mousset. Van Lukener second, that's your podium. Etienne Bax and Casper Stupelis just 2 points behind them. Third overall, ahead of Arne Dierkins, who just missed out. Davy Sanders always there, Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain sixth. Brilliant. So Hermans and Mousset move closer to the top 2, but it's Bax on top of the pile still.
I think we need to be happy. This is not my favorite track. I'm coming here since 2008, and I win 1 GP here in my career. So this is definitely not my favorite track, but it's nice for riding. But it's just a competitive track. We're all with 4 or 5 people in a half a second, so it's not easy to make a difference. But the weekend was okay for us. We were 2 and 4, and I think it's okay. We still are in the lead, and we're safe now.
And it was damage limitation for a bruised and battered Marvin van Lukener.
Yeah, for sure we are happy. We never expect before the weekend that we can stay on the podium, and we had not so bad feeling on this track. It's a very nice track for us, and we fight hard for it. The start was not so good, so we are very happy. After 2 or 3 laps I had a stone in my eye, and I need some laps to see something more. My goggle was a little bit with blood, so Yeah, it was not so easy, but on one of the last laps we can pass them, so it was good for second overall.
Well, they were beaten today by a class act, Nicolas Mousset and Koen Hermans.
Yeah, of course we are really feeling really happy because we lost in the other GPs the first place. But now we did it and we show what we can, and yeah, we did feel really good on the track. We are really happy.
Amazing. What's that done to the championship? Well, I can tell you, it's closed Bax's lead down to 25 points over Van Lukener, who sits just 13 ahead of Koen Hermans, who really benefited from his efforts today. Sanders still fourth, Dierkins there. Stuart Brown benefited from Valentin Giraud's mishap, so he moves up to sixth. Daniel Willemsen dropping away out of the order because we do not know what the future holds for Daniel Willemsen. Is he going to come back or not? It remains to be seen. Santemans, Koiben, Jake Brown, all in there, these guys. Veldman, let's get him back before the end of the season. Hope you've enjoyed it. From KIVIOLI, from me, Barry Nutley. Thank you for watching. We've had fun here. Round 8, we're in the sand of Markelo. Don't, whatever you do, miss it.
Some men see a path that was laid out.
More live rounds coming up. The action just goes on and on. Thanks for watching from all of us here. Goodbye.
Why not? We never stop, still going when you finish. And even when we bleed, still believe that we can win this. We got what's underneath, you're all about that image. We never even stop at the top, no limits. Champions, and we're the champions. And we're the champions. And we're the champions. So bring it on.
Willemsen is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin Van Lukener certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.